The accidental dad, Va the daycare director. Ethan had no time for fairy tales, not when his morning had already spiraled into chaos. His designer tie ruined, his executive assistant out sick, and a crucial business deal at stake. He was a man who thrived on control, but in the next 24 hours, one tiny mistake, a single careless oversight, would crack that control wide open. And he had no idea that the woman holding his daughter's hand would soon hold his heart. The Dallas skyline sparkled beyond Ethan Caldwell's penthouse window, a cold, orderly sprawl of steel and glass that mirrored his life. At 5:30 a.m., his alarm pierced the silence, dragging him from a restless sleep. As CEO of Caldwell Enterprises, a cutting-edge tech firm specializing in renewable energy solutions, he lived for precision, his days a carefully orchestrated symphony of calculated moves. But this morning, Murphy's Law reigned supreme. His 4-year-old daughter, Mia, had dumped yogurt all over his favorite silk tie. His assistant had called in with a nasty cold, and a pivotal merger deal loomed at 9 a.m. "Mia, where are your shoes?" he snapped, juggling his briefcase, a lukewarm coffee, and his phone as he herded her toward the elevator. Mia, a whirlwind of curls and giggles, clutched her favorite stuffed dog, Barnaby, and skipped ahead, chattering about her imaginary unicorn friend, Sparklehoof. Ethan barely heard her, his mind entangled in revenue projections and shareholder demands. The drive was a nightmare. Gridlock traffic, a spilled juice box soaking his car seat, and Mia's endless unicorn tales. He pulled up to what he thought was her usual daycare, Sunshine Kids, without even glancing at the sign. Lifting Mia from her car seat, he kissed her forehead distractedly. "See you at 5, kiddo," he muttered, handing her to a woman at the door before hurrying back to his SUV. "Sir, do you need to sign her in?" "I don't recognize." The woman called after him, her voice tinged with confusion. "Late for work," he called, tires squealing as he sped away. The woman, Olivia Bennett, stared after him, then looked down at the little girl clutching her hand. Inside Little Sprouts Daycare, Olivia knelt to Mia's level, her warm brown eyes gentle. "Well, hello, sweetie. What's your name?" "Mia Caldwell," she chirped, hugging Barnaby tight. "Daddy says I'm a superstar." Olivia's lips quirked, but unease gnawed at her. She'd worked at Little Sprouts for 3 years, memorizing every child's face and name. Mia wasn't on the list. A quick scan of the enrollment records confirmed it. Nothing. She dialed Sunshine Kids, a few miles away, and learned that Mia was indeed registered there. Ethan had dropped her at the wrong place. She tried the phone number Mia recited with surprising clarity for a 4-year-old. Voicemail. "Mr. Caldwell, this is Olivia Bennett from Little Sprouts," she said, her tone clipped. "You left Mia here by mistake. Please call me back immediately." Hours ticked by with no response. Olivia's frustration simmered. She pictured a careless, self-absorbed suit who couldn't be bothered to check on his own kid. Yet, she watched Mia draw unicorns with glitter glue, narrating Sparklehoof's adventures, and her irritation softened. The girl was a burst of sunshine, bright, funny, and achingly sweet. Surely her father, however negligent, loved her deeply. Ethan's day had become a train wreck. The merger meeting had devolved into a shouting match over intellectual property rights, his phone buried under an avalanche of paperwork. By 4 p.m., he was drained, anxious, and impatient. When he finally unearthed his phone and heard Olivia's message, dread iced his veins. Little Sprouts? Wrong daycare. He'd screwed up big time. Visions of Mia lost or hurt flooded his mind as he tore across town, weaving through rush hour traffic. He stormed into Little Sprouts just as Olivia finished braiding Mia's hair. "Daddy!" Mia squealed, launching herself into his arms. Relief washed over him until Olivia stepped forward, her gaze a storm of fury and concern. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, her voice sharp as a razor. "Do you realize how reckless that was? Dropping your daughter off at a stranger's daycare without even checking or calling back. She could have been lost, or worse." Ethan's defenses flared, his CEO persona snapping into place. "It was a mistake. I'm human. She's fine, isn't she?" "She's fine because I took care of her," Olivia retorted. "You didn't even check where you left her. What kind of parent does that?" The words cut deeper than he'd admit. He'd built his life on control, yet here he was, exposed as a failure. But something about her fierce protectiveness, the fire in her eyes, rattled him. "Thank you," he muttered, turning away with Mia, her chatter about Miss Olivia ringing in his ears. The next morning, Mia staged a full-blown revolt. "I want to go back to Miss Olivia's," she wailed, flinging her sneakers across the room. "She's funner than Sunshine Kids." Ethan, bleary-eyed and late again, caved. He called Little Sprouts, enrolled her properly, and dropped her off, this time with a sheepish nod to Olivia. She returned it with a cool, "Good to see you're paying attention now," her tone laced with dry humor. Weeks bled into a routine Ethan secretly craved. He'd linger at pickup, watching Olivia orchestrate pirate story time or bandage a scraped knee with steady hands. She was a paradox, sharp-edged yet tender, distant yet magnetic. Mia adored her, and Ethan found himself drawn in, his curiosity morphing into something he couldn't name. One rainy evening, he arrived early and found Olivia alone, stacking blocks in the quiet playroom. You're good with her, he said, the words slipping out unbidden. She's easy to love, Olivia replied, not looking up. You're lucky to have her. Her softness pierced his armor. I know. I don't always know how to show it. It's been just us since her mom walked out. Olivia paused, meeting his gaze. That's tough. But she needs you, not some daycare worker, to prove it. Her honesty lingered, stirring a warmth he'd buried since Mia's mom, Chloe, left to pursue her acting career in L.A. He started finding excuses to talk, asking about Mia's day, praising her unicorn voices. She'd tease him, calling him Mr. Executive, and he'd laugh, a sound rough from neglect. Then came the revelation. Late one night, procrastinating a crucial sales report, Ethan stumbled across an article. Local family killed in tragic collision. The photo showed a younger Olivia beaming with her parents and brother, wiped out 5 years ago by a distracted driver. The pieces clicked, her guardedness, her resilience, her devotion to the kids. She'd lost everything, yet here she was, stitching herself back together through other people's children. The next day, he brought her coffee, a clumsy peace offering. I read about your family, he said quietly. I'm so sorry. Olivia's face tightened, then softened. It's why I do this. Kids like Mia, they keep me from falling apart. Their connection deepened. Quiet moments stretched into late-night talks when he'd linger after closing, helping her lock up. She confessed her survivor's guilt. He admitted his terror of failing Mia. Walls crumbled, and an unspoken spark flared. But trouble was brewing. At Caldwell Enterprises, a rival firm, Skybound Industries, launched a hostile takeover bid, exploiting a vulnerability in their AI security systems. Ethan buried himself in crisis mode, his days a blur of strategy sessions and sleepless nights. Simultaneously, his ex-wife, Chloe, resurfaced. She'd abandoned him when Mia was 6 months old, chasing a glamorous life in L.A. Now she demanded custody, wielding Ethan's workaholic habits as ammunition. You're never there for her, she sneered over the phone. I've changed. She needs a real parent. The dual threats, losing Mia and his company, shattered his fragile equilibrium. He withdrew from Olivia, retreating into his icy, controlled shell. She noticed, cornering him one evening outside Little Sprouts. You're shutting me out, she said, hurt flickering in her eyes. I can't drag you into this, he replied, his voice raw. Chloe's back. The company's a mess. You deserve better than my chaos. She didn't push, but the distance gnawed at them both. Mia, ever the observer, piped up at dinner. Daddy, why don't you smile with Miss Olivia anymore? She sad too. Her innocence cracked him open. He wasn't just fighting for Mia or his empire. He was fighting for a future he'd been too scared to claim. He loved Olivia. The realization hit him like a tidal wave, drowning his fear. The turning point came at Little Sprouts Unicorn Day. Kids swarmed in costumes, and Olivia led a treasure hunt with a unicorn headband perched on her head. Ethan arrived, nerves jangling. Chloe's custody hearing loomed in a week, and Skybound's takeover bid teetered on a knife's edge. He watched Olivia laugh with Mia, and resolve solidified. He grabbed a microphone mid-event, his heart pounding. Olivia Bennett, he said, his voice trembling. I'm an idiot who dropped my kid at the wrong daycare. That mistake led me to you. You're strong, you're incredible, and I love you. Everything about you. I'll spend my life running from this, but I don't want any more. I want you us if you'll have me. Silence blanketed the room. Olivia's eyes widened, tears glistening. You're a disaster, Ethan Caldwell, she said, stepping closer. But I love you too. They kissed as Mia hooped. Sparklehoof says yay. The crowd cheered, and Ethan let go of control for the first time, embracing the chaos of love. Epilogue. A year later, Chloe's custody bid collapsed. She'd only wanted to rattle Ethan, her changed persona a facade. Skybound's takeover failed when Ethan's team patched the AI vulnerability, securing his company. He and Olivia married at Little Sprouts, a quiet ceremony with Mia as flower girl and Barnaby as ring bearer. Olivia was 6 months pregnant with their son, Noah, her laughter a balm to Ethan's once solitary soul. What began as a fragile mistake had rewritten their lives. Love stitched their wounds, his fear, her grief, into a family neither had dared to dream of, proving that even a wrong turn could lead to the right place.